Hello, Randy Rain here, and this is a story about an old house. And in this old house was an old hall. And in this old hall was an old doorbell. And in that old doorbell were old chimes. And striking those old chimes was an old solenoid. But can I get that old solenoid striking those old chimes? I have no idea how old this doorbell is. From the looks of it, I'm guessing it's in the 60s. It has that, I guess, Art Deco looking look to it, which I can't stand because my terrible doctor's office when I was a kid had that same look to it. It's traumatizing. I know this doorbell was in operation at least during the 70s and 80s, I guess. 70s and 80s for sure. At some point it got replaced with these radio-controlled doorbells. It had to at least be in the 90s, the early 90s. I can't remember when it was put in because I don't think I was around at the time. I can remember the doorbell working as a kid. I can remember from the 90s and then on it being the electric radio controlled one. So I thought it would be fun to get this thing working again. And if you take the doorbell off, you can see the paneling the way it looked at one time. And there's a pair of wires coming out there. And there should be some wires coming out at the front door underneath the button for the radio controlled one. This is the kind of doorbell that needs a 12-volt AC transformer to give it 12 volts AC. And I just so happen to have a very nice one that should work perfect, and it's ready to be plugged in. But I did have to buy a button for the front door, and I bought a lighted button. And that confused me. How does it light up? Where's the power coming from? What's going on? Now here's what I think is happening. It takes quite a bit of electricity to activate a solenoid. One of these sides come here, and it goes to this middle section. Okay, and then this is the front door. Then we'll go here. We'll come off of here. And then this goes to here. And so when you push this button, you're making a connection. And that makes electricity go through all this, goes through the wires of the coil on the solenoid, and activates it. So push it, it activates it, and it hits this one. Let up, it deactivates it, the spring hits that one. So where does the light come in? So how is it lit up? I don't really know, but this is my best guess, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. It takes a lot of electricity to actually turn this solenoid on. This is LED, and even if it was a tiny light bulb, it wouldn't take very much electricity to do that. So what is happening is there is electricity coming in here, it's going here, and it's going through the coil, but just ignore it. Let's just say it's just coming right out of here. It's coming right out of here, and it's going to the switch, or let's say to the light. The other side is going to the other side of the power. So that's how the light is coming on. It's enough power to light this light bulb, but not enough power to actually activate this solenoid. But there is electricity going through the coil, just not enough for it to actually move. But then when you push this button, that's why the light goes out, because you're just shorting it across, and now there is enough electricity to actually activate it. That's my guess. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Let's plug it in and find out. But now when I push, yep, that's exactly how it works. But if you move your finger back and forth or just something in front of that, it makes it look weird. And I bet the reason is that there's a bridge rectifier in here that rectifies the electricity for the LED. But I bet you there's no capacitors to smooth it out, and so it still fluctuates with the alternating current. That's why it's just a half-bridge rectifier. It's not even a full-bridge rectifier. It looks like 2 Zener diodes and 2 resistors and 1 LED. Yes, so very much there is a flicker. It's even more than I thought. It would be less with a full-bridge rectifier. So what's happening is this is your alternating current here. It's coming out here. And so it's going positive, negative, back and forth. Then there are diodes like that. So when one side's positive and negative, it'll allow it to go through. But when it flips over, it can't. Then there's some resistors, and then it goes to the LED. And so when it's like this, LED's turned on. When the alternating current alters, it turns off. And so it's doing that really, really fast. That's why it has that look to it. So if you looked at it like this, it's going and then it stops. Then it goes and it stops. And it goes and it stops. And you could cross them, though. You could put a diode like that. And then a diode like that. Make a full bridge rectifier. That way, no matter which direction it is, it's going to come out rectified. And it's going to be direct current. That would at least change it so it's doing this. Here is completely off. That LED is getting bright, dim, off, bright, dim, off, bright, dim, off. And that is what causes the fuzziness look to it. If you were wondering what the notes were, this seems to be a G flat. Almost right on the money. This seems to be a very flat E flat. You can see on the doorbell that there's terminals where you hook up the transformer, where you hook up the button. You can also do the back porch as well if you had another door. And then coming out of the wall, there's one cable that has 2 wires in it. And then if the button on the front door, you'll see there is a cable coming out that has 2 wires on it. And so I have a wire sticking out here at the front door, and I have a wire sticking out where the doorbell goes. Now, one would assume that is the same wire. What would make sense is that the reason this doorbell is not being used anymore is that little 12-volt transformer finally went out. And instead of finding where in the world that is and replacing it, just a modern-day radio-controlled doorbell is being used. That's what one would assume. But need to test it. So I had a clever idea. I figured if I connected one of the ends of the 2 wires, and then I went to the front door and I checked the continuity of these, and if it goes off, that should mean it's the same wire, which it does. So that means all I need to do is run power up to the doorbell. I've already have the wire running to the front door. I just need power going to the doorbell. And however, I'm in luck because just on the other side of the hall from the doorbell is where the AC and the heating unit is at. And inside there is a plug that I can plug into, and it has a way to get into the attic. So I can run a wire up into the attic, go over, and then come back down, and that should be pretty easy. However, I had to find where I was at up in the attic. And unfortunately, that took me several times. I went back and forth at least 5 times in the attic. It's not easy to get to. I have to go over and under several air ducts. And then right where I'm at and where this doorbell is in the hallway, is where the original access to the attic was, but it has since been covered over. Now I'm trying to figure out where I'm at up in the hallway. And so I had an idea that I could leave a magnet up there. And so then I could go find it down below. Well, I thought I did it. Come to find out that was just a screw or a nail or something. But I eventually did find this. Wasn't able to get a whole lot of video up here in the attic. There's something weird about the hole here that the wire's already going through. It's like the hole in the paneling doesn't match the hole in the sheetrock. So I'm just going to drill another hole to make it easy for myself. So here's my plan. I have a magnet here. It's a little bar magnet, but it's got a hole. I'm going to tie this string to it. That way I can drop it down from the attic, have another hole through the wall, and pull it out. Hopefully I only have to go up into this attic one more time. And I'm going to drop that magnet down through that hole into the wall, and I'm going to loosely secure it there. And then I'm going to take the other end of the string and I'm going to run it over or down through the air conditioning grate down to where the plug is. So if I take the magnet on a stick and I poke it in there, I should be able to find the magnet on the string and connect to it. And bingo. Perfect. So now I can pull that out. And now I have a string running all the way across through the attic over the hall. So now I can tape my wire onto this string, and I should be able to go into the AC unit and pull that string and run the wire across and bringing it down. And as long as it doesn't get snagged, I won't have to go up in the attic again. And it was success. It actually worked. I'm good to go. Now I'm going to go over here and wire the transformer. But here's the most important thing. I'm not going to plug the transformer in. I need to go put the button at the front door. Here's where things take a twist. As I'm screwing in the wires for this button at the door, I get one of them on, not a problem. I put the other one on, and the light comes on. The door button is lit up. I haven't plugged electricity in yet. Why is the door button lit up? Now, deep down inside, I knew everything I had just done was a waste of time, but I was still perplexed. Wasn't really thinking all that well, and I just went ahead and plugged it in. Go ahead and hit the button, and ding dong. But I had to know what was really going on, and I had a pretty good suspicion. So I disconnected my power going in to the doorbell, and I took the wire that I thought was just coming from the front door, and I hooked it to where it would charge the solenoid. And I go to the front door, and I hit the button, and sure enough, ding dong. So that means somewhere there's a 60-year-old, at least, transformer still kicking away, putting out 12 volts. Where, I have no earthly idea. It would mean going back in the attic and following that wire, and I'm not going to do that. But the question is, why did I test it and think it was correct? So I thought there were two wires coming down like this. Up here is where the solenoid would be. Got the two wires for that up here. And I was going to run power to this, but that's not what it is. You have main electricity coming in, and it's going through a coil. And then there's another coil that it's being picked up here. And so this is 12 volts. And so what's happening is it's doing this. And then you have a button that connects. So when you push this button, you have 12 volts going to this side. When the button pushed, it goes to there, and it makes it activate. So what I did, when it was just a wire like this, I connected here, and I tested here. So I had continuity. It was coming up here, going through the coil, coming down here. But come to find out, it was this, and all I had to do was that, and then put a button here. But what I ended up doing was having mains come in here through another coil, and there's a coil here. And so, thinking this was the button, one went to here, one went to here, then to here. And so we had 12 volts here, 12 volts coming this way, going here when the button's pushed, picking up more 12 volts, now for 24 volts. It was getting 24 volts, and luckily these were in phase enough that no damage was done. It was only ding dong, so it was no big deal. But anyway, yeah, this was a waste of time. So that's the story of me trying to get an old vintage doorbell working again. Come to find out, it was already working. All it needed was to be hooked up. It's more of a cautionary tale, I guess. Anyway, if you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more stuff like this, hit the subscribe button. I want to thank these people here. These are the patrons. These are the people bringing you this cautionary tale of do a little more checking before you go and fix a doorbell, because it might already be working. So anyway, I thank these people so very, very much, because I couldn't do any of this stuff without them. Bring you a video every Saturday. And so, if you'd like to become a patron, there's perks. You can get the video early and ad-free and all kinds of stuff. So, go check it out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Oh, fucking A.